Hi guys, it's Meenu. Welcome back to my channel, Storytale. So I finally finished The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. And I'm saying finally finished because it took me a long time to actually complete it. I'm going to keep this review spoiler free because I want you to read it yourself and suffer as much as I did. The major issue with this book is the writing style. There's just too much exposition, there's just too much background which is actually not necessary. In the first book, The Deadly Education, if you do not know anything about it, let me walk you through it a little bit. We see this school of mouse which is filled with horrors. There's just monster lurking almost in every corner of the school. It is a very dangerous place, but it is much safer than the outside world. The outside world is much more dangerous and it is filled with monsters, also known as mals. This school was built to give a safe place to the students because the outside world is not actually safe for them. It is not even safe here, but at least their danger is very less because the mals cannot actually enter the school, at least not completely. There are few monsters here and there which make through. But anyway, the biggest monsters are still kept outside the wall of the school. So this is somewhat a little bit safer place for the children. One of the students that we focus on is Elle. She is biracial. She is half Indian and half British. She is also one of the most powerful witch in the whole school. She has been abandoned and treated very badly by most of her family. That is why she is a little bit skeptical of people. She does not like to get mingled or show more emotions. In the first book, I did not enjoy her character as much because I think she was way too detached from emotions. I liked her character a little bit, but not that much. But in this book, she actually shines. The main love interest of her is Orion Lake, who is kind of a badass, to be honest. He kind of saves everyone in the school. He is the one fighting all the monsters. Somehow he is very invincible. He does not get hurt or anything. He somehow kills almost every monster that he faces and still get unharmed. I do not understand how. I thought this book will have that answer, but we don't get that. Even the first sentence of this book is, "Keep away from Orion Lake." This is what Elle's mom written in the letter that she somehow able to send to Elle. And I thought maybe by this letter we get to see something about Orion. We get to know how he's so different, that he's been able to kill all these monsters even when he's facing them, not just accidentally stumbling upon them. But I do not know how he's so invincible. I thought we will get that answer, but we do not. The letter was mentioned so many times in this book, but it was not actually fully explained, or not the real reason was revealed behind that letter. We do not get to know anything about it, and that is saying something because this book is all about information. After the end of the first book, I was really excited for the second book because I did enjoy the first book, even though there were also many info dumping, too many expositions. Yes, it was the problem. So I thought maybe in this book it was not required because this is the second book. It does not need that much of information. But man, I was wrong. There was too much in this, and the saddest part is all of the information that we get is unnecessary. I was able to bear with it in the first book because we are getting to know the school a little bit. Even though it was too much information for a very little time and that was just too much to take it, but still we were getting to know the school a little bit, so it was a little bit bearable. But in this book, it was just too much. There was just so much information that I kind of fell asleep like most of the time. It took me so long to complete this book because every time I pick up this book, I would read a para or 2 pages and then I just completely doze off. Because this was again filled with very boring stuff. Once Elle starts to talk about a certain topic or a certain person, she goes on like that for pages. There are pages, like 3 to 4 pages, where there's not even a single dialogue between the characters. Everything is going on in Elle's head. I mean, there's just so less of the dialogues in the at least 75% of the book that it was just too much to bear. There was a time when I thought to DNF this book because I just could not go through with it, and I thought maybe audiobook will work, maybe there will be something different, or maybe I like the exposition a little bit better. But even audiobook did not work. It made it actually very impossible to complete this book more because of course audiobooks are much slower to what I read in comparison, because I read much faster than I listen to audiobooks. So that did not work for me either. It took me a lot of effort to actually complete this book. But what was worthwhile was the last 100 pages. The last 100 pages was what I was looking for in this book. I think the first 200 or something pages should be just cut off from the book because it was unnecessary. There was just training, practices and everything. Nothing much to actually read about. But the last 100 pages, it just went from 0 to 100. There was also this one scene with Orion Lake which I absolutely loved, where we actually get to see his darker side a little bit, but we just get a glimpse of it. I really wanted Naomi to dive into that and get to see us more of Orion Lake. He is there, but in the first 50% he was barely there. He was just mentioned in Elle's thoughts again. But anyway, the last 100 pages was worth the torture that I had to go through with this book, because the last 100 pages was just amazing. Even the ending, the cliffhanger, it was just so good, and I'm really excited for that book just because of that cliffhanger. Now let's talk about 3 things that I liked about this book and 3 things that I did not like about this book. First, I'm gonna talk about the like section. The one thing that I like about this book is the character development of Elle and Orion. I love both of these characters. Elle has went through a major character arc in this book. She went from this person who does not actually like to hang out with people, or who kind of, felt a little bit selfish and detached from other people. But in this book, she went through a whole lot of change. She went from this introvert, aloof person to this hero who is trying to save everyone else, who actually care about other people, their feelings, what happens to them. She also cares about the people that she does not know. She actually cares about the whole school. So that is a very interesting arc. I actually loved her in this book. I really loved her character, and I also loved the character of Orion. He's the perfect hero. He saves everyone else without actually asking for anything in return. He likes to hunt monster, and he's actually very good at it. He's totally invincible in this book, and I actually loved him. The second thing that I liked about this book is the relationship between Elle and Orion. I loved their dynamic. I loved how awkward both of them are. Even asking for a first date was kind of very awkward. Even the kiss share between them was kind of awkward. I really loved the relationship because how equal it is. Not one of them is actually superior. Both of them saves each other on every occasion. Both of them respect each other, but also is very shy when it comes to feeling. I love the inner thought of Elle when it comes to kissing Orion and what happens after that. I really love that. And there's also this intimate scene which is a little too much graphic for a young adult. But anyway, I do not mind it. I think all the young adults are actually mature enough. We have internet, right? So I think that is not that big of a problem. But if that is a problem for you, then I'm giving you a warning. It is a little bit too explicit, but it is okay for my taste. The one particular scene that I absolutely loved is there's this picnic scene between Orion and Elle. Even though things did not go as expected, but there's this thing happened with Orion which I absolutely loved. That is the one glimpse of his character, or something that we are not told in this book that we get to see, and I really wanted that scene to expand. But anyway, how protective he was of Elle, I absolutely love that scene. We actually get to see how angry Orion can be, and that is the first time that we're actually seeing him angry, and I absolutely love that about him, and I absolutely love their romance. It was just perfect for my taste. Before I'm gonna tell you the third thing that I liked, I'm gonna put this book down because it is actually killing my arm. The third thing that I liked about this book is that ending. The last 100 pages of this book is what I wanted from this book, to be honest. It is everything perfect because it was a roller coaster ride. There were so many things happening at the same time, and you do not know what is going to happen because this plan was in motion, and you do not know what the result is going to be, how something is going to go. It was very difficult for me to put down this book, and that is saying something because I wanted to DNF this book so long ago. But I'm really glad that I stuck to it and I get to read that 100 pages. The best thing about the last 100 pages is that there was no info dumping. There were just things going in motion. There was just the action scene which was just amazing. Especially the cliffhanger that this book ended on. It was just excruciating. I mean, that makes me want to read the third book, and I'm really excited for it because even though it was a torture to get through this book, I'm still invested. I'm invested in Elle. I'm invested in Orion. I'm not that much interested in other characters. But anyway, this book has that thing that it makes you, confused. That do you love this book or do you hate this book? And I'm always gonna end up in the middle. The characters, the monster, the whole theme, I love that. But all of that is shadowed by too much exposition. Now let's talk about the things that I did not enjoy in this book. The first thing is that how boring this book is. For 75% of the book, nothing actually happens. There's no plot. There's just training going on. These students are training for the graduation. That is all we get. And we also get a little bit of an insight to the enclavers and other students, which was not again necessary. There's nothing actually happens. There's barely any Orion in the first 50% of the book. Nothing happens, no love thing, no action thing. There's just talk about monsters and everything is just so boring. Actually felt asleep so many times. It was just very boring. The second thing that I did not like about this book is the info dumping, of course. There were just too many unnecessary things that we get to know in this book, especially the background of Mal's that I do not want to know. I do not care about that. If someone's background is not adding anything to the story, does it even matter? Why do we get to know so many things without it actually adding anything to the story? Like I said, the first 50 to 75% of this book is totally information. We get to know about so many things but not the major plots, especially about Orion. I wanted to see more of him. I wanted to know more about him, but we do not get that. I also wanted to know more about school and why it was treating Elle as so special. What was its purpose and everything. I wanted to know more about that, instead of the information that we actually get about these students, which I actually do not care about. I do not care. I will not remember it. What is the point again? The third thing that I did not like is that there's just too many characters. There's just too many people in this book, and I can understand that this is a school, there's just so many students, but do I want to know name of each and every one? Do I want to know their background? Half of the students do nothing in this book. There's just one or two characters which I actually end up helping Elle or actually do something in the story. Half of the names I cannot even remember. I only know 2 or 3 names. There's Sudarat, there's Adhya, there's Lu, and I do not remember anymore. That's it. That is about it. That is all the names that I can remember. There was this whole topic of enclaves and enclavers. There's a whole chapter dedicated just to enclavers. Again, why was it necessary? What purpose did it serve? Apart from Elle and Orion and Adhya and Sudrat, other characters I did not enjoy. I did not like to read about them. I did not care about them. Other characters could have been mentioned, but not for 2 to 3 pages. I do not want to know about what their grandma is doing or what their father or mother is doing. I do not care. I just care about these main characters, and I really wanted to know just about that. And we did not get that with Orion. So that is the part that bumped me out. But anyway, the author did a good job with Elle. So that is something that makes this book a little bit bearable. My overall rating for this book is 3 because again I'm confused. Do I like this book? Do I not like this book? I did not enjoy most of it, but I did enjoy the last of it because it was just brilliant. So my 3 star is actually for the last 100 pages and a little bit of character development of Elle. The only and the main thing that worked against this book is the writing style. So if the author changed it a little bit, if she gave less of the information and more of the action scenes where something is actually happening, this book would have worked wonder. The last 100 pages shows how good Naomi actually is with her writing. So she can do that part in the first 200 to 250 pages. That would have done this book a 5 star for me if she would have done the same thing in the first 200 to 250 pages. But anyway, I'm really excited for the third book in the installation. This is going to be a trilogy. I thought this was going to be a longer series, but I'm really glad that it is not because I cannot take that much of information. But I'm really excited about the third book in the series. So of course that is going to come the next Halloween. I'm going to try and read it for you guys and bring the review to you. Until then, if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, and of course do not forget to subscribe and comment what you think about this book. Until next time, see you.